Hi, Randy Lennon here. Welcome to another edition of Meridian Business Television, where business owners access capital. Joining me as always, Keith Turner, the President and CEO of Meridian Merchant Capital. Today we've got an inquiry. This actually came in by text from Graham, who owns a retail chain based in Seattle. And he says he wants to know how important it is to have sort of clearly established company business plans and budgets and cash flow models when it comes time to get financing. And I think I got an idea of what's behind his question. Sounds like he ran into a little bit of a challenge in that area.
Well, I think the first thing to understand is a business plan is just that. It's not a document. It's a living, breathing thing that a lot of people, especially the founder, should have put a lot of time into before they started actioning. Otherwise, you've got ready, fire, aim in full-blown glory. So a business plan should be
which bankers and source of capital don't really like the ready, fire, aim approach, do they?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So, you know, in some regards, once you have these documents, you're ticking a box. You've got to have them. But I ask business owners to take a step back and work with their team to figure out what is their business, where is the business going, what are their requirements, because it's too easy just to leap to what you hope for at the end and then get upset when the financial groups ask you to fill in a whole bunch of blanks that you hadn't thought about. So a business plan to me is a living, breathing thing, and connected to that is a budget. And budgets exist as a living, breathing thing too. They're not just produced to throw at the banker every quarter. You have to compare. How did you do compared with your budget? Why did you not do what you said you'd do, or why did you do better? Because then it becomes an analytical tool for you and not just an analytical tool for the bank to determine just how much money they're going to give you.
Which brings me to another question, which I don't know whether this is Graham's situation or not, but I found that a lot of entrepreneurs they don't necessarily speak the language of the banks. You know, there are exceptions, obviously. Maybe someone who is an accountant and becomes an entrepreneur, he's got his books perfectly in order and he knows how to present himself to the bank. But oftentimes entrepreneurs are more the guys that are out there doing the business and not sort of keeping track of the business.
Well, we're all armchair experts now, again, thanks to the internet. But you know, nobody really expects a business owner to be an expert in a particular arena. That's why the help's out there.
Right.
So from my perspective, you know, a bank is looking for certain things to occur. In terms of the communication, in all fairness to banks, they lend money, they rent money, and they expect it back. It's like,
what do you mean by rent as opposed to
it's like renting a home versus owning a home.
Oh, I see.
You have way less control if you rent. You break the rules, you're going to get kicked out of your rental. If you own the home, you have equity in the home, you can control a little better how that relationship goes. But the reality is banks, in all fairness to banks, there's not many bankers that have worked in industry.
Right.
On the other hand, there's less people working for companies than you would expect who've ever worked in a bank. So it's really a mutual foreign language to them.
Right.
So we at Meridian believe that in some capacities at least, we're foreign language translators. And because we speak both languages, we help with the communication and then facilitate it so that everybody gets what they need and what they want. And the outcome is to everybody's satisfaction.
So most companies will always, like if someone's starting a company, they know they got to put together a business plan and they got to put together some projections. I guess where the challenge comes is to keep that up in year 2, year 3, rework the plan, rework the projections, and marry them up to what the actual financial statements look like.
Yeah, it's all about keeping it real, as the kids say. Because at the end of the day, you got to go back and look at that before you start next year's. What did happen? Why did it happen? What adjustments we need to make? And if you show a capability of being able to make those adjustments and to hit your numbers, which should be realistic. I know that's a dirty word to some people, but that's a big word in the business arena. Being realistic, you will find your investors and your lenders way more open, because guess what? You are learning their language, as well as proper business practices.
Well, if you're having any challenges communicating with your bank or your potential sources of capital, you might want to start with a conversation with Keith Turner or some of the other people at Meridian Merchant Capital. Want to talk more about this, find out more about what we've been chatting about today on Meridian Business Television, just go to meridianmerchantcapital.com. And thanks again for joining us. I'm Randy Lennon.